Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Trainer Talk. Today we're going to be talking about some mental toughness and physical toughness, specifically the 4 C's, which Bethany is going to explain, and then we're going to just kind of go a little deeper on each one of these elements to hopefully help you guys build some mental toughness and physical toughness in your life, and specifically in health and fitness. So Bethany, take it away.
Yeah. So I've been reading a book that's written by Greg Everett, who he's the founder of Cababitily Athletics. It's a Olympic training, but he wrote a book about mental toughness, and it's honestly not what a lot of people think it is. People, think of toughness as the guy in the bar that is tough and would fight anyone there or something like that. Whereas actual toughness comes down to the 4 C's, in his opinion, and the first one is character. Being secure in your identity and aware of what that is, what your values are, and just who you are and who you're not. And then your capability, so basically your self-reliance, your independence, are you able to do whatever might challenge you on a day-to-day basis? If you have to change a tire, yes, you can call AAA or anything like that, but you should at least know how to do those things, just in case. The capacity, so to ability to cope with stress, adversity, danger, unpredictability, so preparing for the unknown and unknowable, learning to embrace the challenge of adversity, and learning to use that to your advantage and grow from the adversity and the stress. And then your commitment, are you consistent with applying the routines and the daily habits that reinforce your character that you want to hold, your identity, the capability that you have, and the character and capacity that you also have. So knowing what you're capable of and committing to living up to that and making the most of what you already have internally by just knowing those 3 other ones and then making sure you apply it every day.
Yeah, so I like the 4 C's analogy, but I have 2 words that really come to mind when I think of toughness, and that's resiliency and discipline. And I feel like those 2 things are ingrained in what we do here, as far as going and working out physically, and then also challenging ourselves nutrition-wise, which can be a big mental game too. So I feel like to be tough sometimes, it's not what people think. Like you said, it's not the guy that's big and burly and just looks scary. It's people that are unwilling to stop, or what's a better way to put that? Yeah, relentless. They're not going to stop. So I feel like that's what toughness is. I feel like applying these to your life can really make a big difference. I think having good character comes from being a tough person and going through tough things. I know we've talked about it before, you have a choice to live life easy and make it hard on yourself later down on the road, or you can make it hard on yourself so that it's easier when you get a little bit older. And that's kind of my take on what she's talking about. So I know you were going to talk about a little bit something along the lines of building physical toughness with mental toughness.
Yeah, actually, I think that it kind of reminds me of that analogy, what comes first, the chicken and the egg, right? So if you want to build mental toughness and physical toughness, to some extent you have to have some minimal level of mental toughness to work at your physicality, right? To better yourself, challenge yourself to achieve those goals that you set out. And once you build up some sort of physical toughness, that goes back into the mentality, right? So if I'm not mentally tough enough to endure well, let's say I finish a really hard workout, but I'm oh, I'm gonna die. I hate every second of this. But once my endurance builds up, my physical toughness builds up, in turn, my mental toughness should follow. So, like I said, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I think it's kind of this repetitive cycle. But it's funny that Bethany actually has these 4 C's, because I actually had 4 C's. One of them was the same. But challenge, confidence, commitment, and control were what I found. And challenge just kind of goes, you know, in the aspect of like challenging yourself, like you want to push yourself and learn from setbacks or failures, right? Like you have to have the confidence to kind of just saying like, I have the ability to, or I can acquire the ability to do something, and it's all goal oriented. So the ability to achieve said goal. Commitment just is, you know, just committing to the goal, just working on the goal and doing what it takes to achieve it. And control is actually a little bit different. So it's like I can, or I believe that I can do it. So it's having that, I guess it plays right back into confidence, really. But controlling, like, not just that, but controlling my emotions and managing others' emotions around me. So I think that plays into a lot.
Yeah, and just circling back, like when she talks about character, the first trait or the first C, like who you are, it makes me think of like the road less traveled. Like a lot of people just follow the same path and do whatever people are doing around them. And I think when you're talking about mental and physical toughness, like if I think about somebody tough, I think about somebody that maybe takes the road less traveled. For my own experience, you know, I did a lot of things that not a whole lot of other people chose to do, and I always stuck true to like what I wanted to do. It didn't let anybody else dictate my path and my future. So that kind of to me is one aspect of mental and physical toughness is, you know, like for me, I always made sure that I was working out to better myself no matter what the circumstance was. I wasn't more genetically gifted than anybody. I wasn't the best athlete or better than anybody else, but I committed to the path that I wanted to go down, and I identified myself as somebody that was always going to strive to become better and stick to something. So the commitment was there, the character, I identified with who I wanted to be. I wasn't capable in the beginning, but I strived to become better as I went. So I was able to gain more knowledge and become more capable, learn more things along the journey. And part of that is just developing the discipline and resilience, like Austin mentioned. You need to really just decide, like, what do you really want, who do you really want to be, and then set yourself on a path to get there, and don't let the noise and people in your life distract you. Something that we were talking about before we even started this earlier was, you know, Austin mentioned, you know, how do we get our clients to get excited or want to actually be in the gym and do it? And I told him we need to like build the community and make it exciting for them. And if you think about anything that we do in our life, we're social creatures. We just like to be around and do what other people do. So if there's, you know, the reason that everybody gets together and goes to the bar every weekend is because that's what your friends do, and that's where you socially interact with other people. If, you know, there's people in our gym that do the same thing and they're doing a healthy habit rather than an unhealthy habit. So the point is, most people will just follow and do whatever everybody else is doing, even if it's an unhealthy habit or taking them away from their goals, such as going out to the bar and getting fast food and drinks every single weekend, because that's what people do. So I think you need to kind of decide what path you want to take, decide who you want to be and where you want to go, and what kind of future you want for yourself, and then learn along the way, build the discipline, just remind yourself of why you're doing it, what you're doing it for, and stay on track to build that confidence, you know, stay committed to it, and then you'll build the capacity and capability as you go.
Yeah, so like how it all kind of applies, like each one, I'll kind of go through how I think it applies to like nutrition and training and that sort of thing. With character, like there's a really good analogy in the book that was, let's say you were to walk a mile, and you can either view it as every step you take to get closer to a mile is just like getting you closer to that goal of walking the mile, or you can view each step as a failure until you reach that mile. Because it's like, oh, I'm not there yet. Take another step. Oh, I'm still not there yet. I still haven't walked the mile. Or you can view it as like, hey, I'm taking one step. I'm one step closer to walking the mile. And that's the same thing with like who you want to be or where you want to be with like your goals, your values, just kind of like what kind of life you want to lead. It's little steps daily. It's not like if you're taking little steps daily, you're not failing, even if you're not there yet. Like maybe you still do, go out and have drinks and stuff when you think that you shouldn't, or you don't eat as well as you want to, or you don't work out as much as you want to. Like, are you still working out? Are you still like working on getting better and working towards who you want to be? Then that's still like you're still working on your character. Like that's still like toughness, because you're still committed in doing that. That's where like I think a lot of people like run into issues of like doubting themselves when they think that they have to be here in order to be healthy and fit when they're already doing the little steps towards it. Boston kind of talked a little bit about that earlier, which I'll let him kind of explain more about.
Yeah, I think like if I was gonna expand on kind of what I mentioned earlier, it's like people can choose. They like kind of like what Nate was talking about. Like you usually have a couple choices, and sometimes choosing the harder, not as attractive choice, or I guess maybe like you mentioned the road less traveled, can really help to build that character. And then when you start to build that character, a lot of things come along with it. Like that's when you start to respect yourself more, and you start to like have these better thoughts. It can help a ton with mental health. I feel like too many times people surround themselves with other people that are probably really good people, but don't have the same values or the same mindset that they do, and then they fall into that trap with their friends or with their whoever it may be, their significant other. So sometimes I think just making that hard choice over and over, it's gonna become easier in the long run. Like it wasn't probably easy at first for us to eat healthier. I know personally it was like this long road of like what I view as super healthy eating and nutrition, and like where I was, and like people would say, oh, you eat really healthy, but I feel like I'm like at the middle to that long road. It's just kind of like you mentioned, walking each step, just getting a little bit better each day. That helps to build character, and then it also helps in turn to build your capability and your commitment up. Like that, they all go hand in hand.
Mention about like your current clients, how they say kind of almost like in a joking way, but they identify themselves as like an overweight person or a not fit person. What do you say to them when they say that?
Yeah, I get that a lot because people are just, they're down on themselves, they're maybe struggling in the workout, and they're like, oh, I'm so fat, or like this wouldn't be so hard if I wasn't so fat or overweight. And it's like, you're doing the things that a healthy person would do, so you should be happy about that. Like you should be proud of yourself for being here and trying to be better, rather than getting down on yourself because it's not perfect yet.
Yeah, and those steps are what Bethany mentioned. If you think about each step gets you a little bit closer to a mile, even though you're not at a mile yet, until you reach that finish line. Like every workout, every healthy meal is a little step along that journey until you will reach your goals eventually. You just have to keep doing it. A lot of people like start working out for 4 weeks and they're like, I didn't reach my goal yet. And it's like, you're not there yet. Like you have a lot of work to do, but it doesn't mean you're not making progress or achieving results. And I love the response that you gave back to those people that said like, if I wasn't so fat or I'm so fat, you said, would a fat person be in the gym right now? Would an unhealthy person be here working out right now? And the answer is no. So they should change their mindset from saying I'm fat or I'm overweight or I can't do this or I'm not fit to I am a fit person, I am a healthy person, or I'm not fit yet, but I'm working toward it. I'm here putting in the work. Like just identifying yourself as something different than what you are or what you hope to be will help you get there. If you constantly come to the gym and you say, I'm fat, I'll never be able to do a pull-up, I'll never be able to do a pull-up, you're never going to be able to do a pull-up.
You're telling yourself.
You're telling yourself that you're not going to be able to do it, so you're not going to be able to do it. So you need to you can't just come into the gym and be like, I can do pull-up, I can do pull-up, but just say, I'm going to work at pull-ups until I can do it. Every single day you come in and work on pull-ups, it's a little step closer to that mile or till the moment that you can do the one pull-up. So hopefully those analogies make sense. It is a journey. It takes a lot of work and discipline, which I think is the whole point of the book, is decide who you want to be, where you want to go, commit to that, and learn everything that you need to learn in order to achieve that goal. So having the capability, you can't just show up to the gym, not know anything, and expect to get fit. You gotta learn, okay, what do I need to do for training? What do I need to do for my cooking and eating? You need to learn those things, become more capable of taking care of yourself at the same time as you're putting in that work and discipline.
Yeah, one of the things that goes along with like capability is like having more tools in the toolbox, that they like to say of like, if you're trying to build a house, can you do it with a hammer and a screwdriver, or would you want more tools than that? You probably want more tools than that. So that same thing applies to like your ability of like with health and fitness, having more knowledge about what movements to do, or like if you're following a program, and then also with like your nutrition of like, you have more tools in the toolbox of like, okay, my hydration, my sleep, all these different things that are gonna help you get to your goals. Like having more things to like help move the needle and like get you one step closer each day is what's gonna ultimately like get you there. One thing that they kind of mentioned in here was like setting goals that align with what you actually want and what you're willing to do. So like what you're willing to commit to and what you actually have the capacity and capability to do. Like they made an analogy of like, it'd be great to be an Olympian, or like, you know, be an Olympic weightlifter, like it'd be cool, but like, do you know like what goes into it, of like how much time and effort you have to commit to it, like that sort of thing. So like people may say one thing and like, oh yeah, I want to get healthy or something, but they're scared of the commitment. They're scared of going to the gym and like making that huge lifestyle change. They're scared of, you know, just changing their eating because it's uncomfortable. So like you have to kind of realize that it is going to take work, and you're going to have to commit to changing a lot of different things. And just know, like, you know, some people are like, they want to get to a 400-pound deadlift, and it's like, well, realistically, if you're a 130-pound female, a 400-pound deadlift is pretty heavy. So if, you know, you just kind of have to realize like what's going to go into getting to your goal, and then seeing like, is that something I want to commit myself to? And like, if yes, then sure, go for it. Train 5 hours a day, eat whatever, you know, that sort of thing. But just make sure that your goals and everything align with what your character is, what your capability, and what you're willing to commit to.
Yeah, actually, this is a good skip. I was gonna say, actually, like all these clients that we talked about, like they're demonstrating specifically like that discipline, that commitment to do what it takes. They're demonstrating their mental toughness, and like they're controlling their diet, right? That was like one of my C's. Like they're doing, they're demonstrating confidence in their ability to perform, or challenging themselves to overcome obstacles and stuff like that. Like that mental toughness is all there, and we see it, but sometimes they don't. So that discipline is really what matters. The commitment, that C, overrules the others, in my opinion.
Yeah, and a lot of times people focus on the mile. They focus on the end goal too much to where they don't realize all the progress that they're making. And we see it all the time. It's like, you know, people will say after 4 weeks, oh, I haven't lost as much weight as I was hoping to. And then you ask them like, okay, well, what else has been going good? Oh, well, I committed to 3 workouts a week. I'm starting to drink more water. I'm eating better, sleeping better. My family says I'm less stressed and more happy. It's like, those are all huge wins. Why are you not recognizing those and just focusing on the one goal that you were hoping to hit? So I think a big part of the mental toughness side is understanding that it's going to take a lot of work, but you need to show yourself that reward or appreciation for the work that you're putting in and those small wins that you make along the way, because it is a longer journey than people think, and I think just staying committed to that is probably the most important thing. Like Nathan said, like you need to be willing to actually do what you want to do. So part of that is figuring out what exactly you want to do, and then be willing to put in the work to actually do it. But then recognize along the way the things that you're doing. Don't get down on yourself just because you didn't lose the 10 pounds that you wanted to right away, or whatever the goal is. You need to recognize all the things that you were previously doing that you are now doing. I think that's a big part of building that mental toughness and kind of grit, I guess you could also say. Big thing that I will say when it comes to like eating healthy and working out, and when you're in here, you're literally building physical toughness, but you're also putting yourself through stressors, and you're developing mental toughness, putting yourself through hard workouts. Like we talk about metcons a lot in here. It's like the metabolic conditioning. They're usually very, very hard. Everybody dreads them. But if you're able to mentally push yourself through it, you're developing more mental toughness at the end of every single workout. And I don't think people realize how much that translates to the real world. When something comes up outside of the gym, like at work or in your life, you are able to deal with that stress so much easier because you've built that mental toughness. So I just wanted to say that that is probably one of the coolest things that I see with a lot of our clients, is they're just much happier and less stressed out because they've built that mental toughness, kind of that grit after years of coming here and putting themselves through that pain kind of. Bethany calls it the pain cave. So when she reaches a point to where she doesn't think she can keep going, she just turns on that mental toughness and says, all right, we're going to the pain cave, let's go, like let's get this done, and then you'll be fine after. Like there's only a certain point of time where you can get through it, and then it's going to be okay. So I think if people can build that toughness to be able to push through and conquer life, I guess you could say, everything in your life will be easier, and you'll be a better person.
Yeah, like a lot of that does come down to like what you said with like the grit and like the capacity to like what you're able to withstand. I think that it relates to physical and mental toughness, just because like physically, if you have the capacity to like go harder, go longer, withstand more pain, then it does translate right into the mental toughness. But then like some people will let their mind get like slow them down before that physical, like they actually reach their physical limit, where they like go to failure or something like that. Like we see some people, like they'll do a workout or something and they will literally be like failing reps. So like they're at their physical limit, where a lot of people won't go to that place because mentally it's very challenging to go there. Pain cave you don't want to visit too much, but in certain times you will, just because it's like the moment where your body hurts and everything's screaming at you to stop and slow down, but you still keep going, and you're just like, I don't know how this is happening, but it's happening. And then that's just kind of what happens, and you almost like go into like tunnel vision and like zone out of it, and you're just doing it at that point. So trying to find that if you're doing a workout, see what the pain cave feels like for you, and then just like kind of see like, is it your mental toughness that kind of needs to be worked on, or is it your physical capability and toughness that needs to be worked on?
Yeah. I feel like if I had to finish on like one last thing, it would be like, if you're gonna set goals and set expectations for yourself, don't half-ass it. Like jump right into it. There's so many resources out there available for free. Like this is a free resource. Like we're people in the gym that you can talk to at any moment. I love when people come and ask questions, or when people have looked up things and like will talk about it with me. Like there's so much out there for free now. Like if you really want something, there's almost no excuse to not do it. So just like commit yourself, and you're gonna build the character with it. So I like the sea analogy. I think that's a cool way to look at it.
And last note on that note, actually, that's why when I started here as a trainer, just as an intern, wasn't even getting paid, but immediately tried to get out of my other job. It was just a toxic environment in the first place, and even though still I don't make quite as much as I did 6 months ago, but I'm building up to it, I stopped half-assing it. So I got out of that place and started putting all my efforts into this profession, because this was my passion. So I committed myself to this.
Yeah, that's awesome you said that. And I love that he brought up no excuses, because I'm somebody that you cannot come in that door and make up an excuse to why you can't be healthy and fit. I will not believe you for a second, because there are, you can come in here and say that you have 6 kids and 3 jobs and whatever, and I'm telling you what, there are people busier than you with 7 kids and 4 jobs that are putting in the work and being healthy. So unless you're the world's busiest person, you have 0 excuses not to be healthy and fit. You have unlimited resources. It comes down to, are you willing to put in the work, and do you actually want to achieve the goal, or is it just like, it'd be nice to be really fit like the girl in that magazine cover or whatever, but you don't understand what that person actually put in to get there. And it's kind of like a side note, looking at, like, people say that they want to be just like a bodybuilder or a fitness model or something. It's almost offensive, because they've dedicated their whole life to that, and they've put in years of work and hours of work in the gym and nutrition. It's like, you can't just have that in 6 months or 1 month. Like, you got to put in the work and commit to it. So find out what you want to do, who you want to be, identify yourself as that person. If you want to be healthy and fit, you need to identify yourself as a healthy and fit person, and then you need to ask yourself the question, would a healthy and fit person do this? Whatever you're about to do on a daily basis or weekly basis, every decision that you make, you need to ask yourself, would a healthy and fit person do this? Or would a successful business person do this? Whatever you're trying to do, whatever your goal is, you need to ask yourself that question and then make a rational decision based on that. Because a healthy and fit person doesn't go to McDonald's every single day for lunch. Healthy and fit person doesn't, work out once a month. They work out every day, no matter what. They don't make excuses. So I'm really glad you said that, because that's a huge thing for me. I hear it all the time, more than anybody else, time and money and just not being able to do it. And like Austin said, free resources everywhere. You can go online, you can find workouts, you can find nutrition plans, they're all free. It's just coming down to, can you actually do it, building the mental toughness and actually putting in the work. So I think that wraps it up, unless you guys had anything else to say. I'll just say, don't be afraid to try something like these guys said, like jump in head first and just take the step, like take the first step toward that line. Once you get going, the momentum will build. As you get better, it's easier and easier. So literally all you have to do is get started is the number one thing you do. The hardest part about working out, for example, is putting on your gym clothes and driving to the gym. The easiest part is actually doing the workout. The hardest part about eating healthy is just buying the healthy food. And once you have it, you're going to eat it. If it's right there in front of you, you're going to have it. And that goes the same thing with junk food. If you're going to buy a bunch of junk food, you're going to eat it. I will too if it's at my house. So, I'm not going to have cookies and crap all over the house and not eat it. I'm a person. We're not superheroes either. We still love that kind of stuff. So we just identified with who we were, and then we set ourselves up on the path for success, got rid of the junk, cleaned up our environment, and set our sights on that end goal, and we're stepping our way toward that goal. So that's it for today, you guys. If you need any help, obviously reach out, comment, get a hold of us. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, that we can see all of our other videos. This is our 42nd episode, so we're coming up on a whole year, which is really, really cool. We do one of these every single week, so go back and watch the old ones. This is actually our 3rd episode related to mental toughness and mental health, because it's so important for lifestyle and reaching your goals. So go out there and crush it, you guys. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.